This video by ABN Painting shows step-by-step process of how to paint a room. To prepare the room for painting, we start our preparation work by removing blinds and electric outlet covers. We dust off the baseboards, so when we cover them with painter's tape, the tape sticks better. Along the bottom of the baseboards, we run 1.5 inch tape, and then we're using plastic that we stretch across the room, and we tuck the plastic underneath the tape, sealing it tightly from every side. Using 1.5 inch tape, we cover electric outlets, light switches, and blind holders. We dust off the drywall around the window, where it usually accumulates quite a bit of dust. We apply 1.5 inch tape on top of the baseboard, and we press it firmly, so when we paint around the baseboards, the paint does not bleed through. Now we're finished with all preparation work, and the room is ready for painting. We start our painting process by cutting the lines between the ceiling and the wall, and we do all the lines by hand without using any tape. One of the mistakes that homeowners make when doing this project as a do-it-yourself is using the tape that they put on the ceiling, and then the paint bleeds through, and if you don't have a touch-up paint, the paint job will look very ugly. When painting a room, brush work is one of the most important parts of the paint project. If the lines do not look straight, the entire paint job will not look very professional. So it is important when painting lines to take your time and try to make sure that lines are very neat and straight. And one of the things that can help to make lines straight is a good quality brush. Right now we're using 3-inch angular brush by Pardee, and those are very good for cutting in professional lines. After we're done applying 2 coats of paint between the ceiling and the wall, we continue our brush work. We paint all the lines around the windows and all the lines around the baseboards. When painting around the baseboards, we do not have to put a lot of effort. The tape that we applied earlier will ensure that the line is straight. For a professional looking line around the entrance to the kitchen, we used blue painter's tape. Now we are done painting this room using a brush. We applied 2 coats of paint to all the edges, and now we're going to paint the rest of the room using a roller. When we're painting a room using a roller, there are a couple of things that help us to get the job done faster. First, we don't use a paint tray. Those usually hold very little paint and you constantly have to add more. We're using a 5-gallon bucket and a paint grid, and this allows us to work almost non-stop. We're using a very good quality roller cover. Depending on how heavy the texture is on a wall, a different size of the roller cover may be preferred. On this wall the texture is pretty heavy, and we are using 3/4 inch. This roller cover holds quite a bit of paint, and it allows us to paint at least 1 or 2 lines before we have to dip the roller into the paint. To achieve consistent coverage throughout the wall, we never push on the roller. We use the roller until the paint comes off easy. Once it stops coming off, we dip the roller into the paint again. One of the most often frustrations of the homeowner when they are painting a room as a do-it-yourself project is they try to cover everything with 1 coat. Most of the jobs where there's a color change will require 2 coats of paint. So when we apply the first coat, we do not try to make it look perfect. We just do our best not to leave any lines, and after we finished and the paint had a chance to dry, we go back and put the second coat of paint using exact same technique as we did for the first coat. After we finished painting the room using 2 coats of paint, we give it enough time to dry before removing any tape or plastic. If the paint is still wet, it could accidentally transfer to some of the surfaces where it would be very hard to remove it, such as carpet, for example. Thank you for watching this step-by-step video on how to paint a room like a professional painter. If you have any suggestions, tips, or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section.